I'll start off, before we go into the discussion of today, a general question to this Kisubah. It's important sometimes to ask the questions we don't ask. Sometimes you got to ask them. If you really look at every mimer chassidus, there are two approaches that we come across, and whether consciously we're thinking this or subconsciously we're asking this, it's definitely there. And that is, every mimer gives an example of nefesh ha'adam. Mizsari echzel likach. There are always examples from within human nature where chassidus is coming to explain to us how we relate to the Eibishter. Now there are two approaches, and they're both wrong, how we go ahead with this. One approach is, the mimer is really there to highlight a person's relationship with the Eibishter. When you come across a mashal, it's probably only for those who need a mashal. When you come across a mimer that has a lengthy discussion about different midos ha'adam, different feelings and natures within a person, and today's topic is obviously that, that's a perhaps subtopic within the mimer. But the main thing of the mimer, in the end of the day, is coming to explain to me how I relate with the Eibishter. Shouldn't that be the main thing and theme and message of a mimer? Seems to be that this fellow who voices this argument, he's on target. I mean, that seems to be the fact. I mean, that's what a mimer is there for, to connect you to the Eibishter. Then you have another fellow who, when he speaks and when he gives over the mimer, he's highlighting nefesh ha'adam, and you can almost close your eyes and think that you're not even learning a mimer. And he's saying the main thing of the mimer is l'sakim midoisa, to help a person deal with his midos. And what is the correct approach? I'll give a mashal for this. And this is very important because this comes across all the time. The Torah gives us mitzvahs. One of the mitzvahs is kashrus. We all know that Ramban writes there are health benefits to kashrus. He gives one example with the fact that the chayus, toichcha, those animals that are predators, are not included in the kasher of behemoths. And he says, because if we would have had the chayus toichcha, they give a person who eats them toichcha's dike energy. A person who would eat a predator would have a predator energy. So the Ramban seems to highlight some kind of, the Ramban with a nun, he seems to highlight some kind of health benefit, rationale from the mitzvah of kashrus. We all know the Rambam writes, and the Ramban agrees to that someone who's going to say mitzvahs were given only for health benefits is an apikoides. That's simply not true. So for 1 second, the Eibishter gave mitzvahs and then gave us a kickback. I'm going to give you some side benefits too. How does it work? The Eibishter created the mitzvahs by design. Every single component of a mitzvah is by design. Comes along to this and explains to us, and this is very important. Mitzvahs are emes. They're real. Something real is real on every level. Just like it's spiritually good for you, it's physically good for you. It's emotionally good for you. It's good for you in every realm. If it wouldn't be good for you in every realm, it wouldn't be emes. It wouldn't be the Eibishter's mitzvah. It would be a man-made mitzvah that has side effects. Mitzvahs have no side effects. Mitzvahs are emes l'amitzvah. So if the Eibishter gave us kashrus, it has to do with a healthy yid b'gashmi. It has to do with a healthy yid b'ruchni. It has to do with a healthy yid b'rigosh in his emotional area. Every single area of a person is affected by a mitzvah. Chassidus is the same. Hoda v'sholim nashi. Chassidus is not meant for you to be spiritual and detached from the world. Chassidus is meant to show you how being a Yid is something real. And if it's just like it's real in the sense of a relationship with the Eibishter, it's real in the sense of highlighting what a real relationship is, period. Chassidus helps a Yid be a person, be a Yid, on every level it helps you be balanced. If it's real on every level. So the person who's going to learn a mimer and skip the area where we talk about Mibeis Adam is missing the point. You're essentially saying it's not a real thing. And I'm going to give one example today of Ahava and Yiraah, something we all relate to. How the whole concept of the Alter Rebbe and Tanya, the theme of Ahava and Yiraah is something so real, something highlighting something so healthy, something so needed, that it's simply real on every level. Not only in the relationship between us and the Eibishter, but in the relationship between us and another fellow. And every area of a relationship, the Alter Rebbe's definition of a relationship plays out. Let's see for ourselves. Let's see how this plays out. The reason why I gave that Hagdama is because the Nisholim of Chassidus are where it becomes real. We are Mivsari Echze Leka. We are Anoshim Gashmi. The Eibishter created us with a Nefesh HaAdam in order for us to understand Him. Echze Leka. From our basar, from our nature, that's where we will understand the Eibishter. The Eibishter created us in a unique way for a unique purpose. And the purpose is because our nature reflects how we're supposed to relate to Him. The same way we relate to another person, the same ahava we have to another person, we're going to see how that's exactly how He wants us to relate to Him. He doesn't want Him to be an odd relationship. He wants it to be a natural, normal relationship that we relate to. So He created us with a certain software that's actually a mirror of how He wants us to relate to Him. It's the same software. Once we get to know the Mibisari, we simply see Him in there as well. So let's see the example of Ahava and Yiraah. We all know we're going to see the same thing with Abraham. And I'm going to explain that. That's what I'm here to explain today. So let's start off with a parak of Tanya. We've all come across this this topic. And let me ask 3 questions. And Tanya is brought down, parak Memalik, that b'li Yiraah klal le'parach le'ela. A person's relationship with the Eibishter has to have 2 shorshim. It has to have 2 roots. It's rooted within 2 feelings. Ahava and Yiraah. Why? Ahava seems to be the ultimate way how we connect. Yiraah seems to be maybe a starter. Perhaps. But once you get to know someone, it shouldn't be what you lean on. It shouldn't be a root within a relationship. Maybe it's something outside of a relationship that gets you started. What's Yiraah? Shoresh means it's always there. The roots of the tree can never be replaced. Otherwise, the whole tree falls apart. It's a foundation. A root means you constantly need it. Why do we constantly need Yiraah? How is that so vital within a relationship that b'li Yiraah le'parach le'ela? This question is not a theoretical question. This is a question that's very central to Teiras HaChassidus. Alter Rebbe highlights all over Ahava and Yiraah, 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 Yiraah. Why? Question number 2. Moshe Rabbeinu is called Eved Hashem. Imagine it, you put it on a resume of someone, an owner or a boss is writing on a resume of a worker. So there's 2 resumes. One of them is going to write, he loves coming to work. One of them is going to write, he feels like a servant when he comes to work. Moshe Rabbeinu is Oyed Hashem. Why Eved Hashem? And the Alter Rebbe really says that in Perek Memalav, that not only do we need Yiraah, but Yiraah is more essential than Ahava. The main component, the main root that is vital for a long-term relationship with the Eibishter is Yiraah. Why? Again, why? Why?
I'm not sure yet.
Yes. No, you're right. You're saying something true. And this is something we've heard all the time. Well, let's try to go through different shades and colors of Yiraah. And let's identify which Yiraah is needed, which ones are actually not Yiraah, and are not what we call Nichsidus Yiraah. A lot of the Yiraahs we think perhaps our Yiraah are actually not Yiraah. So it's important to identify it in English and see what they are. And then we have to ask ourselves, like I said in the Havdama, like I prefaced, is this how I relate to my friends? Is this how I relate to my parents, to my friends, to anybody else that I have an Ahava to? Do I also feel over there that I need to have a Yiraah? Or maybe when I relate to a friend, I feel that Yiraah is actually a good way of saying that I don't have a relationship. And why do I feel that the Eibishter should be an odd relationship that I have to throw in this Yiraah thing? If Yiraah is going to be by the Eibishter, it's by Bnei Adam. It's got to be the same way we relate to each other. It's got to be the same way we relate to the Eibishter. He's not odd. He's got to be normal. To make him normal, it's got to be really normal. So normal means to say that I use that same way with other people. Do I? I feel a little bit almost repulsive when I hear the word Yiraah. I almost feel like it's a great way of saying I'm not here, not a great way of saying that I am here. And a relationship is all about being here, not about not being here. It's about being present, not absent. And Yiraah is all about being absent. I don't have fond memories of the word Yiraah.
I'll give you an example. You have a father. You love your father, you respect your father. You see who only loves the father today. The people who honors his father and reveres his father has a much deeper relationship with his father.
Very good. So you're saying the word respect. Let's get it. We're going to get to the word respect. Why isn't respect Ahava? We'll get there in a second. Why? We'll get there in 1 second. First, there's one more step before we get there. I know. I'm going to get there. These are 2 points that I'm getting. So we'll get there. So let's see what Yiraah is, what's Ahava, and let's get there. So let me just put this into a nutshell, so like this, those who came in are with us. The question we have at this point is, what is the real definition? What's the real understanding of Yiraah? What does it mean, Yiraah hashem? Yiraah seems to be a great way of saying, I'm not here. But Pashtus, simply speaking, if you translate the word Yiraah, it's fear. You translate the word Ahava, it's love. The word fear is a great way of saying, I don't want to be here, but I have to be here. The word Ahava is expressing that I want to be here. Isn't the word wanting, connecting, a relationship? That's Ahava. Why is the Yiraah, I don't want, why is that vital to want? I want. I don't want to not want. If I don't want, then I'm not here. The first important step to highlight is Yiraah Sa'inish. Yiraah Sa'inish, which is in English, the fear of punishment, is not Yiraah. The Rebbe Rashab explains, Yiraah Sa'inish is not the Yiraah intended by the Alter Rebbe. And let's explain. Yiraah Sa'inish can be explained in 3 ways. First example is simply a child called Yiraah Sa'inish. A child who goes to school. In the olden days they had a Yiraah, they had a whip, and nowadays they have a knas. Regardless, the point of the matter is a child who comes home from school and says, I'm only going to school because I'm forced to go to school because otherwise I will get a knas. Hey, we should be very proud of him. He has Yiraah. Shouldn't we be very proud? We have Yiraah. Yiraah is a very important thing. We all know that that's a great way of saying this child won't last in school. We don't grow and we don't foster any relationship out of a motivation of fear, the way it's expressed in the child not going to school. A second example brought down is the Kesubah. It's brought down that the Chachamim instituted within the Kesubah, Masayim Zuz, why when the husband gives a get, he has to give a certain amount of money, which is equivalent to 1 year's salary. Why? In order that the husband should take it seriously, he should realize this is not just a phase, but this is a life commitment. So therefore, the Chachamim instituted this clause of paying out a certain amount of money. If there's an individual who's only staying within a relationship because they don't want to pay out that amount of money, they're not in a relationship. Yiraah is not a relationship. It's a great way of saying you need help. You need a lot of help. It's not a great way of saying that you're in a relationship. You have no relationship if you have Yiraah. I had a fellow who once told me, I mentioned this last time, a girl who, so from a secular family, but from a Spanish family, first time she met, so she, wasn't the first time, we were doing, regardless, so she asked me, she said, Tagili maha minimum, shani kabel Gan Eden. What's the minimum? What do I have to do? The minimum, just give me like a recipe, some kind of quick recipe. So I told her, you're basically asking to have a miserable life. She said, why? So I said to her, because what's your motivation? You're afraid, right? Whatever I'm going to tell you, you're going to want a better minimum. Whatever I'm going to tell you today, tomorrow it's going to be already too hard, you're going to want a different minimum. So essentially, you're going to be miserable. You can do whatever you have to do in order to do what you have to do to get what you want to get out of it. It's not going to work. It's going to fall apart. Why don't you ask me, how do I enjoy doing pyramids? And then we'll have a different discussion. The moment you tell me what's the minimum, the moment you tell me you're afraid, you fear something, and you want to get something out of it, but it's not for the thing itself, it's not lasting. It's not happening. Nothing in life lasts if you just do it out of fear. Fear out of punishment. Fear of punishment is a bandage at the least. It distances us from certain decisions at the moment, but it's not a long-term solution. So the Rebbe Rashab says something like this. He says, why does the Torah talk about the Toichcha? Why do we have such a long Toichcha? Right? Because we're in the Torah we have about punishment. So I'll put it in my own words, he says it's like antibiotics. The lashon of the Alter Rebbe is, then a person can utilize this tool. It's not a shoydish. It's not a constant tool within a relationship. It's in the toolbox to use in disastrous moments when a person can make a disastrous mistake. It's for sick moments. It's for those moments that we need something extremely powerful to help us stay in the right path and not make a mistake that has long-term consequences. But in no way does that define our relationship. It's sick. When you're sick, you have to go to the doctor and give antibiotics. But don't base your relationship on that. Good. Yiraah has nothing to do with Yiraah. Yiraah is still not yet understood as a root, because Yiraah is more like a bandage or a antibiotic that's there specifically for certain circumstances. It's not a root that's all the time there and all the time needed. It's there for a certain time. When a person needs to have antibiotics, so then in a sick moment it's good. It doesn't define me and it shouldn't define me. The person needs a doctor the whole time is a problem. So what's Yiraah? We still don't know. There's one more. Hakdama. Many people say, and that's pretty much the train of thought that I heard a little bit ago, Yiraah is respect. Respect. Having respect for someone is Yiraah. And let's think about that for a second. Isn't admiration the beginning of love? Where does ahava start from? It starts in the mind. The person has admiration, has respect, and that leads to a feeling of ahava. The shoydish of ahava doesn't start in the heart. It starts in the mind. It starts what I'm attracted to in a sense of value, or wherever it may be. Taste is not only the gashmis, taste is in character, personality, and that's essentially respect in one word. So why is it a separate root? Why is Yiraah another root? If respect is going to be the word I use to define Yiraah, that's essentially part of the same root of ahava. It's the beginning of the root of ahava. Why do I have to use in Tanya a second root? Why is it a second root? It's really the beginning of the root of ahava. So this leads us to the question. This is the premise of the question that we have now. So what's Yiraah? Obviously Yiraah has a deeper meaning. It's not the shallow meaning of Yiraah Toinish, and it's not just the respect to the things that I admire. Something else. So what's Yiraah? In order to understand this, I have to first explain, and the Frierdiker Rebbe explains this, what ahava is. There's a shortcoming with an ahava. How does ahava play out? Explains like this. And again, this is the gashmi. The same way it's the gashmi, the same way through the Eibishter. It's like this. Ahava likes. What is it like? The things you like. What about the things you don't like? What does ahava say? Oh, so ahava, at the first stage of ahava, ahava doesn't see it. Is translated as, and all the imperfections of the person that I love. So the ahava covers over those imperfections and doesn't allow me to see them for what they are as imperfections. In the extreme case, ahava says, I don't see any imperfections. It's all gold. It's all beautiful. In the extreme case of ahava. In English it's called denial. But that's the first phase of ahava. A second phase of a full shonim techasa, there's two more psukim that actually highlight this. There's another, not psukim, but two more statements. There's another shoichad ya'aver einei chachamim. What's shoichad? What does it mean ya'aver einei chachamim? Rivalry blinds the eyes of the chachamim, of the smart people. There's two diyukim here. There are two nuances in this pasuk. Number one, it doesn't say probably it's going to be blinding the eyes of the chachamim. It says it as a factual statement. So it's not 90% and not 99%. It's 100% true. And number two, it doesn't say einei tipshin. It says einei chachamim. Which essentially means to say every single person, every single time will experience Toichcha ya'aver einei chachamim. And that's a good way of saying akol shoyim techas ahava. Ahava doesn't see certain things. It can see certain things. Don't expect it to be what it isn't. It will not attach itself, and it will not recognize the imperfections that exist within the other person. In the first phase, it's denial. In the second phase, it could even be that you see it, but you say, it's not so bad. And that's also a full shoyim techas ahava. When a person says, I see it, but it's okay, they're essentially asking for a problem. Because the same way the nature of ahava is to attach itself, well, guess what? The nature of the opposite of ahava is to be disgusted by the things it doesn't like. And somewhere or another, if you're in some place and you're actually invested there, then you will express yourself in both ways. You're going to express yourself in the sense of expressing attachment to the things you do like, and you're going to express yourself in the sense of expressing disgust at the things you don't like. So to say simply wash it under the carpet and say, I'm not going to express myself halfway, I'm only the other halfway, it's not true. Either I'm not there or I am there. If I am there, I'm going to express myself in both ways. So I got to deal with it. To say I'm not going to deal with it, overlook. Overlook means I'm looking, but I'm overlooking. How long can you look and overlook? You're going to overlook all the time. You're going to make yourself meshiga. Sometimes you're going to look and you're going to not like it. You're going to take a note. That's just how it works. You can't overlook a Gan Eden. You can't. You can't keep on fighting yourself. You can't suppress something that's real. If it's there, it's there. What are you overlooking? Who are you overlooking? You're overlooking me? There was once a chassid who went to Moscow, and he said, I fooled the whole Moscow. Came back. He said, how did you fool the whole Moscow? He says, very simple. I came to Moscow. I told him my name is Yankel. Really, my name is Shmerel. I fooled the whole Moscow. They all thought I was Yankel. Really, my name is Shmerel. You can't fool yourself all life. It's a gatenish. If your name is Shmerel, it's going to come out. And if you don't like something, it's going to come out. And it's going to be a Shmerel. It's not going to work. So what does Abba do? So Abba has a denial phase. Abba has a time of overlooking. Abba has another reaction. The third reaction of Abba is change. Abba says, yeah, I see, I'm not blind, but my Abba is so strong that I can change the tone. I'm going to simply change the other person into the goal that I like. I'm going to make the imperfection of the other person and turn that into the way I want. I'm going to be able to do that. And obviously that's the worst. It doesn't work. Abba has a problem. Not a problem. I have the bullet. A limitation. It's not a problem. Normal. Good. That's a healthy state of Abba. That's how Abba plays out. You can't be here and there at the same time. You have to be in one place. You have to, it's just how the Abishter created everything. Everything has a place and time. So this is how Abba plays. This is a tune that Abba sings to. Abba sings to the tune of attaching himself to the things of life. And it sings also to the tune of saying, I don't like. If you like, you also don't like. It case goes in both ways. You like something, you don't like something. Otherwise, you just don't like. If you do like, then you also don't like. That's how it works. So Abba singing two tunes. I like and I don't like. I hate and I love. You're not going to stop the singing. It's just, that's the song that you're going to hear. So what do? Comes along Siddur and explains to us, you need a second stage. This is where we need a second stage. This is what we have to explain. Now at least we're starting to see, there's a need for something else. And this is actually the story of all bumps. All bumps happen at this stage. Ahab is amazing. But Teva b'nei Adam. Maybe she created with a certain Hagbola. It plays and sings to a certain tune. So now what are you going to tell Abba? What are you going to do? Here's a beautiful thing. Abba's like, there's a second shadish in a person, and the example you can give is, let's say, with a parent and a child. A parent and a child. Let's play out the Shofar of the Abba, and let's see how this plays out. The parent loves the child. Parent loves the child. She sent it. Take it out. I'll put on. Okay. So I have the. Okay, taken care of. So I have the. So let's go back. Ahab has a bump now. Let's give an example from parent and a child. Parent loves the child. Many times, the parent comes across one of their children that don't necessarily match the way they paint the world. The chushim of the child don't necessarily reflect the milos that the parent appreciates personally. The parent is a musical person and the child is not. The parent is an intelligent person and the child is musical more than intelligent. Whatever it may be. So the parent tells the child, or tries at least in the beginning stages of the ahava, why? In the back of the mind, and it comes out in the mind from the book, pushing his milos, their milos on the child. Out of ahava. Don't you want to have a great milos? Out of ahava. But the child feels that it's not ahava. The child says, you don't love me. You're loving yourself that you want within me. What does a parent have to do? And essentially, expectations of a parent to a child is ahava. The expectations, in English, expectations is essentially saying the ahava to my child is a mirror of what I want within myself, that I want in my child. And I'm not really seeing my child, I'm seeing myself, and myself, and therefore I see it in my child as well. I didn't yet see the oilam of my child. So that's essentially what expectations really means. So what happens? At a certain moment, the parent realizes if the oilam niva b'shvili, you're simply not going to be involved with that oilam. That oilam will be saying goodbye to you, and you won't have anything to do with that oilam because they are a different world. And two worlds don't talk. At a certain moment, the parent is going to have to be absent. And this is a beautiful thing in human nature. It's a gift Hashem gave us. We're not animals. We're not like the cat and the mouse with the Rambam story. We're not animals. We can develop new tastes in life. Now let's play this out. The moment the parent is absent, the moment the parent allows themselves to listen, and not only to talk, conversation is two-sided. You know, sometimes you talk to someone, they're physically right across from you, but they're actually just physically present and not emotionally. You know, a child once asked their parents, the father comes home from work and the child says, what's your cell phone number? Why do you need my cell phone number? He says, I see you answer your cell phone. I want to see if I can get your attention. So I'll call you on your cell, or maybe I'll have a conversation with you. So sometimes you can talk to someone, they're physically present, but they're not really invested in the moment. Listening is an art. Listening doesn't come from love. Listening comes from a moment of allowing yourself to be absent. It's a skill. But it's a beautiful skill that Hashem gave. He didn't give it to animals. He gave it to humans. And that's the shadish of Yiraah, as we will see. The ability to let go, the ability to allow yourself to be absent, not because you want to be absent in the sense of being 6 feet under and not expressing yourself, in the sense of developing a new self, in the sense of appreciating a new appreciation. Everything in life that you have the word development, anywhere you have the word new, has to come from a moment of absence. Because if you're not absent, why is it new? It was always there. You allowed yourself to listen, and now you can hear. Now I hear what you're saying. I was saying this for 3 years, and you were listening. Now you're listening, so you hear what I'm saying. I was sitting on the Shabbos table for 10, 15, 20, 25 years and saying something, and you the whole time were saying something else because you never listened to me. You were thinking what to tell me because you wanted to tell me what you wanted to tell me. Now you're listening, so now you hear me. You should call you for hearing me. You should call you for listening. Now I can talk to you, and now you're going to appreciate. And now, a moment of absence is a moment where a whole new development of ahava can take place. Let's play this out. You see, a moment of absence makes the presence a lot better. Okay, that was part of the play. Okay. See, woke us up, moment of absence. Okay. So what's the idea? So we'll do it again. So what's the idea over here? The idea here is that absence, the ability for a person to let go, and I'll demonstrate this in a few areas of life. You want you to see this in every area of life. And that's the same shadish of Yiraah of the Alter Rebbe, the same shadish in life. And the word for it is going to be Yiraah Chet, as we'll soon see. Let me first demonstrate this. This is a novel idea, although it's not so novel. But the more we think of it, the more we see how this is so real that the Yiraah of the Alter Rebbe is really the reason why anything exists. Let me explain. I'll give you an example of business. Okay, I'll give you an example of business. Business is a part of the Yiraah. It's not so personal. It's easier to digest. Although for some people, for everybody, it's also personal. So what's the idea in business? hummus is not really an American food. But today, you'll find it in Park Slope, and you'll find it across in Arizona and anywhere else across the United States, that small packets that Saba hummus has been so graciously providing for children to take to school. And that only happened recently. 15 years ago, less than that, 5 years ago, someone would say hummus belongs in Tel Aviv and Beirut. That's where it belongs. It's a Middle Eastern food. The taste of hummus has its place. How did it go to a new place? How did people who never had the taste for hummus, Americans, suddenly develop a taste for hummus? Raw fish. In English, it's called sushi. Also, at a certain point, wasn't really a delicacy in America. Marketing is all about bringing new tastes to new places, to people who don't like it. How do you bring something to a new place? Well, you have to be able to help people. First, they have to have a moment of, you can't right away bring it into a place. There's a push, and that's what really marketing is. Allowing yourself to experience something new. We all do that in life. Anybody have a taste or a hobby that they never had before? You have to try it out. The moment you try it out, you don't like it. And then you develop it, but you have to first hear it many times. Let me give you another example. More pertinent, more personal. At every Shabbos table, you have a conversation. Not every, but many Shabbos tables, you have a conversation between two siblings or two family members. One family member who's health conscious, and one family member who's not so health conscious. And this is how it plays out. So Yankel comes to the table, and Yankel says, Shmerel, what are you eating that? That's so not healthy for you. And Shmerel says, leave me alone, you nut freak. What's the word? Health freak. Health freak. Leave me alone. So Shmerel says back, no, you don't understand. And he gives a whole drasha, and Yankel's not listening. Yankel's already turning around and says, Shmerel, leave me alone. I don't even hear what you're saying. I'm so tuned out. I don't even hear what you're saying. Then Yankel gets a call from his doctor, and the doctor gives him some news that the doctor is happy to inform him that he will be the first to attend his levaya at the state of things the way they're going right now. Just find a sponsor because it will be happening very quickly. And Yankel wakes up and comes back to the Shabbos table to Shmerel. What was that thing we talked about? Tell me again. What was that health thing? Hey, I want to hear again. A moment, it's extreme moments, and it's from a life experience. But there are two ways we can have a moment of absence. Self-development is on our own. People are more aggressive, and they on their own allow themselves to be absent from their current self to develop something new. Person who jogs, the person who's exercising, any area that you never did before, you have to go through a moment of allowing yourself to be absent for a moment to develop something new. Anything where you develop something new, newfound respect for someone. How do you have a newfound respect? Where did that come from? From you allowing something new to come into yourself. It was always there in your friend. You just never saw it. You never wanted to see it. The moment you allow yourself to see something, you see it. How do I allow myself? I have to allow myself to be absent. No one can force you. You can bring the camel to the water, but you can't force it to drink. So we can, on our own, allow ourselves to see something new, or life helps us, or doesn't help us to see other new things that we never saw before. But the moment of absence allows you to be a better self. Absence makes a better presence. Absence allows you to be so much more present, because now you're grounded. And you're not in your own world. Now you actually connected to someone else. The moment you allow yourself to connect to someone else, the other person responds. And you say, I see you appreciate me. Let me talk to you about things I never talked to you about before. I see you're listening. You're the kind of person I want to talk to you. Let me have an open conversation with you. Open relationship with you. I see you don't just want something. You want me. Now let me talk. Yiraah is really the component within the relationship that allows it to be real, that allows it to have a kiyum, that allows it to be long-standing, and it also makes it not boring, because you develop a new ahava, appreciation. When you allow yourself to renew yourself, that's when it's a colorful person. Color comes not from staying in your same color. Beauty comes from two colors coming together. Yiraah is key to that. The ability for a person to allow themselves to listen, that's where beauty comes from. That's where a long-standing, that's the key to everything. What does Chassidus say? That is Yiraah. Why is that called Yiraah? Really, every single person has Yiraah in every relationship, and I'll tell you what that is. The moment the ahava recognizes it can't continue on its own, I realize I'm going to lose this if I don't connect to the other person. That's Yiraah. It's Yiraah chet, afraid of losing. Chet is chisarim, afraid of losing. We're afraid. When you're afraid to lose something, that means you like it. That's perhaps an elementary level of Yiraah. Eventually, we'll see that Yiraah allows you to have a newfound respect for the other person. Respect for the things you didn't like before. Newfound respect. Not the respect of the ahava originally that you always liked. Now you like me, you're starting, this is how it plays out. Two people meet. In the beginning, I liked certain things, and that's why I met you. That was the reason why I met you, because I liked certain things. Then eventually I realized I can't just like the things I like because you also have things I don't like. So I'm forced to listen. Once I listen, I say, hey, actually, it seems like it's not such a bad thing. Oh, you know what? There's actually new things in the world that exist that I never knew existed before. Because once I listen, I know it exists. If I never listen, I never know it exists. It doesn't exist. You know, a person goes into shopping and they go down the aisle and they're looking to buy some food and they never go down one aisle because it doesn't exist. It's disgusting food. So the word disgusting means to say it doesn't exist. You know the difference between saying disgusting and not my taste? When you say disgusting, it means no one can eat it. And those who eat it are pashut achzorim. You can't eat it. It's disgusting. Not my taste means I allow someone else to have a different taste. That's a very big step. When I go down the aisle and I say, that's not my taste, I mean to say someone else is allowed. That means maybe actually, if I allow it to exist, maybe one day I'm going to have that taste, if I allow myself to taste it. But when I taste disgusting, I can't even allow myself to taste it. It's simply not my philosophy. It's not a food that people eat. Disgusting is how Ava talks. And Ava lets go for a second and says, you know what? I'll allow it not to be my taste. So now I see something else. Now I'm observing. When I observe, I can develop a new taste. This is how we develop a new taste in life. But the gashmi, the person always has hot. If you go in different cultures across the world, you see different foods that people eat. So a person lives in a place and they never ate a certain food, but because they're around all the time, they're observing it. Can't be everybody Meshuggah. You don't know I saw people that are Meshuggah that eat hot pepper. Fine, because I live in America, but if I go to the store, you see them table every day, and now it's already part of an American food too, right? All foods are universal. Sushi, whatever it may be. Then I realize that it's got to be a taste. I have to first recognize it's a taste. I have to look at my child and say, you know what? Musical is a beautiful thing. I have to stop painting the world as studious is the only thing in the world, or the other way around, or whatever it may be. Everybody paints the world in their own paintbrush. The moment I'm absent, I can see new colors. I can observe them. When I observe them, I say, maybe I'll try that out. And when I say maybe I'll try it out, I say, oh, it's okay. And I say, actually, you have a point. Then I say, actually, I respect your point of view. Actually, I admire that. And you know what? I've come to actually appreciate it, and now I love it. So the moment of absence paves the road for me to have a new appreciation for someone. It takes time, but it doesn't come without a moment of absence. It's impossible. Because the moment of absence, it's like the horses. The horses go straight, and they don't realize the hay is over there. Turn your head, turn. Oh, you see it? Good. Now go walk and eat it, and then you'll see it. It might even taste good. So you have this moment of absence, turning. Yiraah is a shaydish. And why is Al Perez saying Perek Lamav, that's the main shaydish? Because the main shaydish is being able to see the other. And the other can happen through being present simply by continuing your existing presence. Yeah. You want to ask something? Seeing the other. See. Yeah. Yeah. So let me summarize this point before we go to the concluding point. What do we have over here? Let's see the flow. And we'll see this on the paper too. You have a handout, right? I believe there's a handout given out. So what did we talk about over here? We started off with the Perek Mem Aleph. Li Yiraah klal liparcha le'ela. The Alter Rebbe says Yiraah is, without Yiraah, there simply will not be a relationship. It's not shaykh. What did we ask? We asked a few questions about that are not on the paper. We asked, why is Yiraah needed? Ahava is the main thing. We ask why is Yiraah the main, and why within Ahav and Yiraah is it the main component? And why is Moshe Rabbeinu called Eved Hashem? And you should be called Ohev Hashem? Well, now we're going to have a little bit of an appreciation for that. Moshe Rabbeinu's biggest mila was his constant newfound appreciation of the Eibush. He constantly thought about Hashem. In Chassidus it's called Hizbonim B'Gdulas Hashem. He wasn't Hizbonim B'Gdulas Ahavasoy. He was Hizbonim in the Gdula of the other person. That takes a lot of courage, and that's the greatest smile you can have in someone. That they're constantly looking to find a new appreciation within you. That's great. They're really focused on me. That's what Eibush liked about Moshe. He was a real person in a relationship. He was really tuned into the other person. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu was. Let's see in the paper. The first point we talked about why Ava always, in English it's called crashes. We talked about we brought out how Ava has a hagbola. It's not a chisorim. Chisorim means it's missing. It's not missing in the sense of lacking. It's missing. It's built that way. It's lacking because it can't have two opposites within it. It's Ava is being present, being invested, connecting, and I need to also disconnect. I need to be absent to really be present within any scenario. So you have to have both. You have to attach, allow yourself to come in, but you have to be able to be absent to be really present. Two sources, constant two sources. So Yiraah allows one to appreciate even the things they aren't passionate. Passion is out. Yiraah allows you to see something new. Here are a few examples: a parent and a child, a doctor, a newfound taste. Really, it's two ways how Yiraah plays out, either on your own or through life. So how do we bring ourselves to Yiraah? And what about the greatness of another person? Once a person attaches themselves to the other person, and they connect to the other person, so things that I previously said were disgusting, I now say, oh, I hear what you're saying. Specifically milas. I'm not dealing here about hisroinus as in bad behaviors in the sense of real slobs. I'm not dealing with that right now. I'm dealing with milas that are different. Most of the problems we have are not appreciating someone else's milas, not really with the hisroinus of someone else. And you don't appreciate someone else's milas, so you don't appreciate them. They don't feel like they're there. And that's where the shaydish of a lot of problems start. Once you appreciate the other person's milas, pocket, not the mirror, not the milas, not the stuff in the other person that you also have and you share and you like because you like yourself. It's not like seeing something in someone else that's really only there and not in yourself. That's, when you have that, you're able to forego a lot of other things. That's the shaydish of connection. Connection is not connecting to yourself. Connecting is connecting to someone else. So what's Yiraah? Absence. Yeah, of course it's difficult. So the Chassidus is called bittul. What's bittul? Bittul doesn't mean to mevatel someone else. Most of the time, bittul usually recites that mevatel someone else, and it's a beautiful thing. It feels very good. It feels amazing to mevatel someone else. Like the story with the Rashab and the Razah. So the one was taller and short. He says, "I want to show you that I'm taller, but I'm short." So you put him in a ditch, and now he's taller. So it's very easy to put people in a ditch and become taller. But that doesn't really highlight your virtues. It simply highlights your ability to put people in ditches, which is not really a good way to go on in life. So the ahava does that. Ahava essentially. So what's really the shaydish of Yiraah? Shaydish of Yiraah is a line. Oh, short has a mila too. Everything has a mila. So they can see the ants a lot better than I could. I can't see them so clearly. Everything has a mila. Everything has a place where everything has something better. They're able to, everything has a mila. So Yiraah is a shaydish. And the lashon in Tanya is limud. Why limud? Limud means I want to lose. Limud does not mean Yiraah for einish. Just a diuk in Tanya. When we say in Tanya, I don't want to be moited in the melech, it doesn't mean that I'm afraid of punishment. It means I don't want to lose my relationship. Just like a person in any relationship, I don't want to lose it. It's a primary motive that we have, an elementary motive that every single person has. It's called Yiraah chet, not Yiraah for einish. Every single yid has it. So number 7. So this is how Yiraah chet plays out. First you say you don't want to lose a relationship. Then you can say I want to cause the other person unhappiness. Then you can even say I want to make them happy. And the Eibush does the same thing. You say nachasruel to Rebbe, nachasruel to Eibush, it's a way I don't appreciate what the Rebbe tells me in the sense of really I just want to make nachasruel. I like when he's happy. I I put a smile on his face. When I like someone, I don't have to understand why they like it. I like the fact that they're happy, so then I'm in touch with them. That's really what I'm in touch with them. That's what a avoida is, and that's what a relationship is. That's what Yiraah Hashem is. I want him to be happy. I don't want him to be upset. Not because he's going to punish me, because I like him. And liking tells me that you don't want them to be unhappy. Liking in the sense of the Yiraah component, in the sense of allowing yourself to be absent, and that's when it plays out. So that's really what it says in Tanya. These are high words. Simple English. You know what that means? To recognize your friend's mila, not only to focus on your own mila. That's the same thing. I'm just highlighting and showing you how the same recipe that we have with the Yiddish is essentially the same thing with another person. Lamed Beis and Mem Aleph, Avos Yisrael, Avos Hashem, they all have the same components. And without the Yiraah, it doesn't happen. Without allowing yourself to be absent, we're not present. The only times we're set in stone, I like to say that, the only times we're set in stone is in a gravestone. Otherwise, we should not be set in stone. Because otherwise, we will be in a gravestone. So the steps in Yiraah, how does it play out? The recognition of someone else's uniqueness without an expectation. The ability to observe leads, you say, it's not my taste, but you have a point. That's really Kabbalah sale. Kabbalah sale, what's acceptance? I'm accepting, it's not my taste, I don't like it. But I'm going to accept it from a mature standpoint, not from a rebellious, not from a punishment, from a mature standpoint. I like this, I want to keep this relationship. And you know what, sometimes the things in the beginning I didn't like, eventually I appreciate them, because it takes time for me to appreciate something new. That's how everything works in life. Some things I want to, some things will take more time. But that's how the ladder works. The ladder starts with the ability of me being in a place where I don't know people, and I'm going to get to know them. Some of them I will like, I'll get to like more people. It's fine, that's fine. So Yiraah changes what? An attitude. Yiraah is really an attitude. The attitude of Ave is I like, and what I like is what there is. And if it's not there, if I don't like it, it doesn't exist. Yiraah changes the attitude, and the attitude is crucial. Attitude is everything. So the Yiraah attitude is what the Eibishter wants, and the Yiraah attitude is what humans want. We want to be accepted. He also wants to be accepted. He's playing the same move. He's not playing a different game. He's playing the same game. He's not obnoxious when he says be of Kabbalah Sil. He's simply doing the same thing we do to each other. Please accept me. I'll accept you. No, I don't accept. I do. What he's doing, he plays the same game. He created us that way because he plays that game. Because that's his software. So he created us in the same way. You sorry, you have to make on. Not to all himself. He didn't keep the same. He created us exactly the same way he expects. It's the same thing. A computer and a big computer and a small computer, the same software, just different hardware. It's the same software. So the Kesubah is another discussion. The main concern that we discussed over here is not my taste. But it spills over usually into other things as well. But that's a different discussion. This is what it says in It says in a beautiful Yiraah. And two Yidden meet, and they discuss one with another how to help out each other. So Yiraah says it's two nefesh Lkut and one nefesh Bahamas. 1 second. Simple math is 2 and 2 is 2 and 2. Why is it 2 and 1? Nefesh Bahamas only likes its own world. It doesn't know how to connect with someone else. It doesn't know how to listen. It only knows how to talk. So they're all talking to themselves. Oh, you're talking to someone else. That's a beautiful thing. You have two nefesh Lkut talking together. Because they're the only ones who know to talk together. And then you can come up with beautiful stuff. Two people that carry a load together, it's not a load that buries you, it's a load that you grow out of it. Two people that talk together, the load that previously was a load that buried you is now suddenly a load that can uplift you. That's the only one. Yeah.
Is it true that the next focus is the only Jewish people have?
Yeah.
Okay. But can non-Jews also have this ability of really being able to listen to the absent?
Yeah.
So how does that connect to Tanya?
Very good. So the ability for humans to connect, for humans have the ability to connect. Here, like Gan Eden was talking about not only a problem in Gashmi, but also from Bedukut. Let me highlight your question. Let me answer your question. The Rebbe talks about Ahavas Yisrael. I'm going to make your question a little bit stronger. The Rebbe talks about Ahavas Yisrael, and there's a Hayom that says someone who has Ahavas Yisrael is going to have Ahavas Hashem. So let me ask you a question. There are a lot of soup kitchens out there across America, secular Jews that run them. There are a lot of organizations that do kindness, and they don't have any Ahavas Hashem. The Rebbe says in the Teichcha clearly that Avas Yisrael doesn't, if a person is only giving bread to another person, it's not necessarily Avas Yisrael. Why? Just like a parent to a child. When you really love your child, you appreciate their unique mila, not only the mila that you like. The studious parent who is interacting with their child who's musical has to come to appreciate who their child really is. A Yid needs, just like they need the Gashmi's bread, they also need to put on tefillin or to light Shabbos candles. If you really love that other person, why aren't you giving them Shabbos candles? Why aren't you giving them tefillin? Elamai, you simply like to give out bread to people to eat. That's a beautiful thing. But don't say you really connected to the other person. Real Avos Yisrael is to connect to the other person, not only on the level of giving them substance in the sense of food, but that kind of Avos Yisrael is what we're referring to. Really caring for another person plays out differently in the sense of the nefesh elokis, because there are other things that we have within us that we need, just like our guf needs food. Our nefesh elokis needs other things. So in this area, to talk and to be able to talk to the nefesh elokis plays out. But in a nutshell, the idea of letting go of ourselves, yeah, that is found in the world of love. The ability of two, if you want to make it, the ability of two to connect. And when both people talk about a problem, two Yidden talk about a problem that each have, so two nefesh elokis is one nefesh bahamas. What does it mean, two nefesh elokis? Binyoni avoda. You see, it's binyoni avoda. They learn in Tazamen. Over here, it's going to be binyoni avoda. I'm just taking that and extrapolating it the same thing in any area, right? But like you said, yeah, in any area, try to go to, try to anywhere. Binyoni avoda, try to go. So the idea is that two, connecting is only when you're able to let go of yourself. And nefesh bahamas doesn't let go of itself. Nefesh bahamas is essentially my enjoyment, my way. I don't know how to let go of my way and connect. Nefesh elokis knows how to connect. This ties into also Tanya where we say that Goyim don't know how to really connect. The real kind of thing. And the paradox. That's right. The Alfred in jail, he laughed. Yeah. So, but that's another discussion. The idea of really connecting is really a Jewish thing. The idea of really, this is another, the idea of really being able to let go, to really be able to connect is a Avos Yisrael, is a different. Let me finish this and then we'll go to something else. But the idea over here that we're highlighting is the idea of Yiraah. The idea to be absent allows me to be more present. The two nefesh elokis, who is the one being absent? Who's the one letting go to allow yourself to be more present? Nefesh elokis. Even a parent and a child, what pushes really a parent is because they have a natural connection. They're able to push themselves. And in other places it's a little bit harder. But the natural connection of a parent and a child allows them to push through that expectation and allow themselves to enter a new world. That's the teva of nefesh. And that's another thing. So what we're highlighting here is more the power of sharing, which is specifically through being absent. Dafkes, through being absent, are we able to be present, and that's what Yiraah is. And that I finish with the story of the old man. There's a story with an old man. This is really thinking of Kesubah. An old man was once asked, so he's 99 years old, and he says, how did you last so long? And his wife was 98, and they're celebrating their anniversary. So he says one word: I'm sorry. I'm sorry comes from being absent. And that's Kesubah. Kesubah is Yiraah. Kesubah is being absent. It's the same thing. Kesubah is the marker of a relationship with the Eibishter. And sorry is the marker of a relationship with Gashmias. It's the same thing. Yiraah means being absent, acceptance is Kabbalah Tel. Kesubah is sorry. It's the same exact road, just playing out the nefesh adam. So Mifsali, tying it back into what I started with, Mifsali Echtalikaya, a person's natural way, how we are down here, simply a mirror of how the Eibishter wants us to relate to him. The more we understand ourselves, the more we understand the Eibishter. I'll finish with a famous Rebbe talk about technology. And the Rebbe was talking how the world says technology, there's Torah Amada, contradiction between the world and Torah. And there's the Punkt Fakir. The more we understand the world, the more we look technology. It used to be, ever talked about then, the satellites. Today you have internet, same idea. It used to be, ayin roya, v'izim shema, the idea that someone can hear you from far away. What's up with the Meshuggah thing? If you go into a psychiatry word, if you're going to say that. You can still hear, you can hear over here. It's a Meshuggah. Today, it's a fact of life. So you see how the Vel, Pashit, allows you that your moyach gashmi should Pashit understand that it's normal. You know that previously we thought we're spiritual. Because Eibishter wired the world in a way that simply from the world we can understand the Eibishter. From our basar and from the teva of the oilam hagodol and oilam hakotam, from the big world or from the small world, it only helps us to understand more and more. Well, that will conclude what we spoke about today, which in a nutshell is the idea of Yiraah, showing us how that is simply something that we have in a day-to-day life. It's so grounded and so real that the Alter Rebbe is not telling us to have an odd relationship. He's telling us to be normal. The same normal we have, that's the same normal he wants you to be. Nothing abstract, nothing odd, nothing extreme. The Alter Rebbe is simply telling us to be a healthy Yid, the same way you're a healthy human. It's the same recipe, same exact thing. If anybody comes to Tanya now, sees Yida, Bittul, just take it for a second. That's exactly what the Alter Rebbe is saying. The same thing you need. The Gashmi, he's telling us. So beautiful. That's what the Alter Rebbe is saying. You know, and with that, I wish you all a good jumpers and enjoy the rest of the evening.